All right, what is going on, guys? Today in this video, I'm going to break down how to get to 10% body fat in 90 days. This should be a pretty good one. And this really works for anyone that's starting, like if you're experienced or new, a step for you and how you can calculate exactly what you need to do depending on your starting point. So some people come to me like more lean than others, and some people are way more fat than others. It just depends on where you're starting. But this video should pretty much answer every single question that you have to get to 10% body fat in 90 days. Obviously, if you're higher body fat, it's going to be harder to do. And then if you're like really extreme, I wouldn't even try to do this in 90 days. Like it's just a little bit unrealistic for some people. But for pretty easily, just have the fundamentals in place and you will get the results. The next up is 18 to 25% body fat. So if you're around like this range right here, obviously it's still doable. It's going to be a little bit harder to do, like more X plan that I'm about to give you and like the tips that I'll provide in this video. And you can get there, so you'll be good. And then if you're like, I'd say 26% plus body fat, so anywhere from here and above, time period a little bit just to make it more manageable for yourself. But if you're like truly dedicated to do it in 90 for you, like it just wouldn't be the best way to go about it just in terms of like your quality of life in that time. But obviously you do want to get to 10% body fat. Like I think getting lean is one of the best quality of life things that you can do for yourself for anyone. So getting to that 10% or even below that, like 8%, like 8 to 10 is that sweet spot for most people where you can be really lean. Your body's just optimized in the most possible way. Like if you're carrying extra body fats, your big here is you're tracking all your data, so your weights every single morning, and then the calories that you're eating. And then based on equations that I have here just laid out in the spreadsheet, it's going to calculate I made yesterday. Based on when you're watching this, it was the previous video right here. So go watch that, learn how this works, and then you can shoot me a message on Instagram and I can make you your own copy of this so you can have this for yourself to use. And then from your maintenance calories, once you calculate that, you want to subtract. This is for most people, like it is pretty general advice, and it does depend specifically on the person, but generally you want to subtract 500 to 700 calories or more, just depending on the individual and their body fat percentage, like where they're starting from. And that's going to give you like the best plan to lose body fat at a good rate to hit that 10% and not lose muscle and strength at the same time. So following this plan, in 90 days, you should be losing 12.85 pounds of strict body fat at that 500 calorie deficit. So if you don't know the math on how to calculate this for yourself, I'm going to lay out right here. So 90 days in the plan and then 500 calorie deficit every single day. That leaves us with a total of 45,000 calorie deficits. And then we're taking that number, the total deficit, and then dividing that by 3,500, which is how many calories are in a pound of body fat. That's going to give us 12.85. So that's the total of how much you're going to lose. And that's a very of how you view yourself, your respect, your confidence. There's so much that goes into getting lean. So next up is the deficit size. So this is where it gets pretty individualized. I recommend the leaner you are, the less of a calorie deficit you really need, and you can get away a bit higher. So for example, if if the plan says for 500 calorie deficit, like overall, like on average, you can start the first week, say 700 calories. It's going to give you like a little advantage, a little edge, and get you burning fat faster while your hormones are still like at their right spot, when you're not like crashing calories, when you're not like burnt out from the deficit. So that's a little quick tip there. And then you can transition into the smaller deficit and still get the same outcome from the 90 days. So that's pretty straightforward right here. So this part is very valuable. So this is basically the equation that you can use based on your current body weights and then your current body fat percentage. And you can estimate this just based on what you see online. You can use like one of these charts here, or if you actually know your body fat percentage, if you've done like a test like this, then you can use that number for this equation. But basically, I'm not going to go over to this whole thing, but you can take a screenshot of this or pause the video and then do this for yourself. So put in your body weight, current body weight, and then your current body fat percentage. And that's going to give you your current fat mass. Do this as a decimal and then just follow these steps right here. And then at the end, you should get basically how much of a calorie deficit you need per day on average. So this is on average, and you can play around with this. Like I said in this slide, you can just like start off a little bit for the phase of the cut. So use this to calculate your custom daily deficit. And this is something that I do for people that I work with. We do this together. Makes it very, very streamlined as well. And then, so this is how to hit the deficit. So eating, knowing how to, track how much you need to eat and eating the food, that's the easy part. Like just knowing how much you can eat, like that's very, very easy. But then there's another side to the equation, the energy expenditure portion of the equation. So calorie expenditure, like I always say, is going to be king. So you always want to increase your calorie expenditure before decreasing your calories. So never decrease calories before increasing your expenditure. And there's a few reasons for this. Basically, the main thing is when you lower your calories, you're also lowering your nutrients and like the food that you're eating and basically the energy that you have for your body and for your automatically lowering nutrients, which is going to leave you with, like lower energy, lower motivation. You're not going to sleep as well. You're going to have like low libido, fatigue, like lower testosterone. All that comes from lower nutrients. But if you can increase this part of the equation deficit, and you're not going to crash your calories and have all those negative side effects that most people, experience when they're cutting. Like when I do my cuts, I have genuinely like I wouldn't say more energy, but like I never really crash in energy because I'm always focusing on increasing my expenditure for mats in the phase of the cut. So how to do this? Basically, you just want to increase your NEAT or that's not specifically in exercise. So think of like walking like to your car or like pacing around. Like if you're on phone calls, something that I recommend is just walking around. You can also park far from buildings, so you have to walk more to get to the building and enter the building. That's a little quick tip as well. And then if you're reading, this is something that I do. Actually, I have a treadmill right here. This is like where I work. And then you can just read and then walk on the treadmill. So I do like a 2 miles per hour, 2.2 miles per hour speed. And I'm just with my book reading. Great way to actually burn calories and increase my expenditure as well. It's just finding like little things you can do throughout the day and then adding some low impact zone 2 cardio. So I really think if you watched my previous videos, this is the best thing that you can do for your fitness. It's very underrated. Zone 2 cardio, it's not going to burn muscle because it's very low impact and it has a ton of different benefits from that increased heart rate, but it's not too much where it's again burning muscle. So you're going to increase your mitochondria, have more energy throughout the day. This is another benefit of doing this increasing expenditure. You're going to have more energy instead of crashing calories. And there's a ton of different benefits to doing this. Different ways you can do it. You can do like an incline walk on the treadmill, but I really don't like doing that. I just find it really boring. I like to do just like steady state running. I'll do like 10-minute mile per hour or 10 minutes mile pace or 9-minute mile pace, something around there, just keeping the heart rate in zone 2 and just doing that for 30 minutes, like 3 to 5 times a week is the best for most people. And really, the main thing here is just keeping calories as high as possible. So when you're cutting, always keep calories as high, just repeating what I said, just having all those nutrients in place. And then obviously you want to have like nutrient dense foods as well. So if you're eating like processed foods, things that aren't really nutrient dense, then you're not going to have the best output from everything that you're doing. Like the nutrients that you're eating is the main priority. That's why you eat food in the first place. All food is just to have nutrients for your body. And then quick tip here as well, add HMB. This is a supplement. It's a metabolite from leucine, and leucine is an amino acid that comes from protein. This is like the most potent form. This is especially good in a deficit just to make sure that you're not tapping into like muscle for your exercise as well. So then next up is some calorie expenditure hacks and tips that you can do. So obviously you want to increase this side of the equation. So this is some other ways that you can do that. So burning more calories does not always equal more effort. So these are quick ways that you can increase your thermogenesis, which is basically just increasing your body heat, like forcing your body to heat itself up, which requires you to burn calories at rest, which is boosting your metabolism. So number one is spicy foods. Use things like cayenne pepper. They have the ingredient called capsaicin, And what that does increases thermogenesis. Protein is the most thermogenic macronutrient that we have. So 20 to 30% of the protein that you eat is actually burned as like you burn those as calories through digestion just by digesting the protein. Next up is caffeine. Very, very good supplement that you can take. I do this in the morning. Like I don't really have that crash. So drink your caffeine in the morning before you do any exercise. Increases your, it's going to force your body to heat itself back up. You can also do cold plunges. I used to do these like in there. It's really like it sucks in the moment, but it feels really good right after, and it's really good for then it's a little small difference, but you will actually burn a little bit more calories just at rest without any effort because your body has to heat itself to stay at the baseline temperature. And then last one, going back to this slide, is just having NEAT. So your NEAT right here, you can increase that just doing walking around more, like doing little small activities throughout your day and not just being sedentary all day. And the small things really add up. This is the whole point of this slide. And as you can see in all of these things, this is what fat burning supplements actually do. So if you've ever seen like fat burning supplement that like claims to boost your metabolism, this is how they work. Like they're just using things like if you read the ingredients on most of them, they have some sort of spicy capsaicin, they have caffeine, they have other ingredients that can actually increase your thermogenesis. So basically everything that increases thermogenesis that makes your body heat go up is burning calories at rest. So it's a pretty cool things that you can combine in your day. Next thing is intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting, this alone will not burn more fat, but it just makes it way easier to actually, lose more body fat as quickly as possible and just energy that you're using like throughout your day. So if you can switch between these, flexibly, so when you're fasting, you're not going to have much glucose in your bloodstream, so you're going to be relying way more on fats, and that's going to also help hunger a lot. So in my personal experience, I usually do a lot of intermittent fasting. I just find it to be very, very beneficial for me. And then, I mean, even recently, like maybe like a month ago, I started just eating basically right as I woke up and then until I go to bed. And I found that even though the calories were the same, I would just be like so much more hungry because when you're in intermittent fasting, your hunger hormones just go down and it just makes it way easier to stick to the deficit. So if you've never done this before, I definitely recommend doing this. Makes it way easier to adhere to the deficit. Also has a ton of other different health benefits. But when you take a break from food, you have, a fasting period, you really like break the addiction that a lot of people have, which is why a lot of people don't. It's one of the best things that I can do to just like rewire that relationship you have to food because you should look at food just as fuel for your body, fuel for what you're doing. Like I said before, just having nutrients for yourself to use and not just like comfort food, not just for dopamine, which it can be fine. Like I'm not saying you can't eat out or, like enjoy food, but you should just have that awareness of what you're eating and like why you're eating certain foods. And then next up, we have testosterone. So testosterone will always help you. And I'm going to make a video. This is my next video. It's going to be pretty much like how to biohack your testosterone production. These are the basics that you can put in just for now, but definitely stick around for the next video. Little quick slide there. And then last thing I have here is just being consistent. Like if you're in a calorie deficit consistently over time and you're adhering to where you're not perfect. Like it's very rare for 90 out of the 90 days that you have the exact deficit that you need. Like even myself, I don't think I've ever had a perfect like run of just 90 days having 500 calorie deficits. But that's always fine because it's always about the consistency and how you respond to the things that the deficit requires you to eat. Then the best thing that you can do is just pretty much forget about it. Is always worth the effort. So really sometimes for me like I get in a like phase where I'm always chasing like you could say like comfort or like instant gratification, but I always tell myself like this discomfort of delaying the gratification is always temporary, but the result is always going to be worth the effort. So like if you know that you should be getting to 10% body fat, then that's always going to be the best thing that you can do. And then last thing here as well. So this is a little bit of a different thing, but get something to change the identity that you have with fitness. So as you can see here, I wear this Garmin watch, and I got this back in August of 2024, and I think it's one of the best things that you can do to change like the identity that you have, because as soon as I got this, I just focused way more on my fitness, like Fitbit and Apple Watch, something that you can wear that's related to fitness. You can like track your steps and just have stats. If you can discipline yourself to follow this plan, you know, apply these things that I've laid on one. I'll leave the link in the description as well to book a call and we can see if that'd be a good fit. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys in the next one.